just kind of by the seat of our pants, we just decided that, well, in order to save it, let's just, top the cap, tape all the caps off, let it breathe, recap it, and just kind of hope for the best. And, of course, it was just enough to relieve that pressure, a couple weeks later, opened them up, and they were amazing.
Hey all, I'm Amanda here, and welcome to episode 52 of Great Beer Adventure. Goodness, that is an entire year of shows coming to you. How amazing is that? We have a special anniversary show lined up for you next week, but today we have a brief brewery bio. We are continuing our look into New Hampshire with another brewery located in Portsmouth. This time, we sit down with Josh Smith, a brewer at Earth Eagle Brewing. Before we dive into their story, a quick reminder to head on over to Oak Hill Beverage in Saco, Maine. Why not grab a celebratory beer and crack it open in the name of 52 episodes? oakhillbeverage.com for more information. Now, let's learn more about the tiny brewery called Earth Eagle.
Well, I guess I would say, speaking for Alex and Butch, Earth Eagle was a brainchild years in the making. We're right around 3 years open now, and I know that those two started discussing the possibility of opening a place. I'm going to say it was easily 6 years ago. And they did a lot of home brewing together and kind of discovered Gruits and started writing recipes. And eventually the spot was found, the actual physical space here on High Street. And I think that definitely kind of took it to the next level. I don't think it was necessarily hugely on Alex's radar. When he looked at the space, for another purpose. And it just sort of presented itself, and the rest is history.
Let's find out a little bit more about the beers brewed at Earth Eagle.
Well, Gruits specifically is, sort of half of our claim to fame and half of the menu, if you will. Alex and Butch both brew and write recipes, so the menu has been traditionally divided in half, between half Gruits and half ale, the traditional ales. And I think the Gruits definitely bring people in. I think the traditional ales bring people in, and I think it's really, a lot of it is that we're trying to sort of push the envelope with different ingredients, different styles, and a constantly rotating menu. We're a small batch situation, so it affords us the ability to keep the menu changing all the time. Some beers are on for a few days, and some beers are on for a few weeks, depending on what people's palates are. So I think that's a big part of it. Occasionally, we'll have a keg go out to a restaurant around town. Occasionally, you'll see a firkin at Coat of Arms. But for the most part, we just try to keep up with the demand in-house here.
In order to get to know our guests better, we want to know Josh's most memorable beer memory.
I would say my go-to for that is when I first started home brewing. It was an extract brew that a friend and I had done together, and it was a Doppelbock, and it was the first time we had lagered. So long story short, it was not finished fermenting when we put it in the bottle, so we had the classic exploding bottle situation, and just kind of by the seat of our pants, we just decided that, well, in order to save it, let's just, top the cap, tape all the caps off, let it breathe, recap it, and just kind of hope for the best. And, of course, it was just enough to relieve that pressure, a couple weeks later, opened them up, and they were amazing. It was one of the best beers I had ever had. At that time, I was probably 19 and was just getting into craft beer, and it was the realization that, there's recipes to follow, but this is sort of an art form where a lot of your sort of intuition and science and art sort of come together.
Thank you so much to Josh Smith, Earth Eagle Brewing, and of course our show sponsor, Oak Hill Beverage. For links, head over to our show notes, greatbeeradventure.com/92. 052. Join us next week for our first birthday party. And if you, our loyal listeners, would like to help support Great Beer Adventure, head over to greatbeeradventure.com/support. You'll be directed to our Patreon account where you can show us the love for as little as $1 an episode. Want to know more? Be sure to find us on Instagram at Great Beer Women. If you haven't done so already, be sure to head over to greatbeeradventure.com/subscribe to subscribe. That way, you'll be the first to know when a new episode goes live. Also, don't forget to tell your friends about us. A small party is fun, but a huge party is extraordinary. Let's get more people knowing about beer in the great state of Maine. Great Beer Adventure is part of the Great Pint Society.